Deanna Kim Bassett is a second career pastor, graduating from Luther Seminary after a few decades of work in accounting. In September of 2020, she received her first call in a multicultural church in Minneapolis. In some ways, her call is an extension of her earliest memories of life in California, where she lived in linguistic diversity, ethnodiversity, birthplace diversity, and economic diversity. She's a life learner who led inclusiveness in her first career and continues to seek the divine in the bridging of differences. While waiting for her first call, she has worked at the Center for Leadership and Neighborhood Engagement. She volunteered at a multicultural church site and used her certification in the Intercultural Development Inventory to help congregations understand cultural norms. In her spare time, she serves as a community firefighter as part of the Eden Prairie Fire Department.
I'm Deanna Kim Bassett. I go by Pastor Kim in the church. I am new here to Christ the River of Life. This is my first call, and I started 2 weeks ago. Christ the River of Life is located in North Minneapolis. The neighborhood in North Minneapolis is about over half of it is black people, and a lot of them are African Americans. There's also a lot of Hispanics in the area, and some white people, some Asian people. About 1/3 of the people live at or below the poverty line, so it's an area that is in great need of lots of different things that churches provide. This building is a historic building in Minneapolis. River of Life, which had this building at the time, was trying to keep it updated or keep it working. It was a big burden for them. So Lutheran Social Services started to help. This building required a lot more of an investment than they thought it would originally. So eventually it came around that Lutheran Social Services would buy the building to make this big investment into the building, to update it, to fix all the things that needed to be fixed in the building, to update it into modern technology, to create a safe place for lots of different kinds of activities to occur. So they bought the building, and in return, Christ the River of Life received 99 years rent-free use of the building. So we are in partnership with Lutheran Social Services, as is an adult daycare wing where people come during the day sometimes to have services provided for them and get together for group activities. And there's a couple of other churches that also share the space. Christ the River of Life is the result of several combinations of churches. A year ago, a primarily West African-based cultural church merged with a primarily Swedish and Norwegian cultural church, and they came together. The people here have been struggling over the last few years for a number of different reasons. Sometimes it's a reason of pastoral turnover, where they don't have leadership that stays for a long time and their beloved pastor departs them to do something else. Sometimes it's just the tension between the two cultures and trying to do things together without a mutual understanding, and there's a lot of reason for tension that I find when I come here. Now, tension is normal when you have different kinds of people coming together, but what's important is some kind of shared value, which they really do have here. They have this beautiful love of Christ together, and they come together in that even through their frustrations, and know that they are both here for the same reason on earth. And I think moving forward, part of our work together will be getting to know each other even better, so that there's a better mutual understanding of the other person. All my life, I have really enjoyed cultural differences and that divide between the two cultures. I was born into a family, my parents, my mom was Japanese and my dad was Korean. And you would think they were both Asian, so that everything would be hunky-dory when the families got together, but that wasn't true. I got to see the difference in culture between just in our family unit of what happens when you have different ways of doing things, different ways of living in your house, different ways that you eat and greet people and talk and just be. I grew those skills further when I went to school. As children, we got to spend time together in each other's homes, and I got to see what a household was like that was Catholic or Jewish or Muslim. You know, it was just beautiful to be able to experience all those kinds of things. So it's something that I've lived into all my life, and this just feels like a continuation of that intercultural spirit that I seem to have been born into. I see my own call as incredibly fulfilled. There's so many rich blessings that Christ the River of Life brings to me. I find so much of God. There's this like spiritual path that bridges between the two, and the closer you get, even in just discussion and crossing that bridge, it's like every step is a holy step, and it just transforms you completely with every step that you take. So I love that the cultures are coming together. I felt like in seminary and since I've graduated that multicultural congregations was something I would be interested in. So to have this great coming together of two cultures is a dream come true. It's definitely a dance. It's a fun dance. When you walk into a different space where people are doing things differently, you're going to fall many times before you start walking. It's all a joyful thing to walk into different cultures and to see Jesus in the face of the person across from you, and to know that that brings you together. I'm not 100% sure what Advent and Christmas is going to look like, but we are talking about it as a congregation. So we really see the newness of a baby Jesus bringing us to a new place, and we're willing to see where that takes us. But we do think that a lot of it is around connecting with people. One of the ideas that we threw around last night as our church council gathered was perhaps purchasing some inexpensive technology like Kindle Fires that run Zoom. About half of our congregation is not electronically connected. Well, they're connected through telephones, but not through any kind of screen, not through any other ways of seeing people because they're sheltering at home. We're playing around with not only how this will be used in weekly services and during Advent programming, but also in small groups going forward. Because right now, with half of our congregation not having technology for reasons of cost or reason of just being elderly and unfamiliar with it, we're stuck in a place where we can't connect with some people on a regular basis. The other thing with the unified technology, say just everybody having a Kindle Fire or whatever we decide to use, is that we can have small learning communities. Everybody will have the same thing. Everybody will have the same problems. When there's an upgrade, people will be talking about the same things and helping each other figure things out. So we think a unified technology will help us in that respect. The piece of the Christmas story that resonates with me is Emmanuel, God with us. And God is with us when we're alone, but God is always with us when 2 or 3 or more of us gather together. And in that gathering, we hope that people will find that Jesus that we're all looking for at Christmas time.